Subscribe to my sister's channel. She will also voice her favorite plots. Let's give her a big asset. Hello to all lovers of lemon scenes. I invite you all to my boosty so you can watch your favorite Naruto What If stories in complete comfort. A subscription to Naruto Lemon costs $1.04. The first video with a full lemon is already on my boosty channel. Dare! My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Yesterday I became a genin of Konoha and today I am assigned to teams. What can I say about myself? I'm blind. More precisely, I was born in the family of the 4th Hokage Namikaze Minato. On the day of my birth, my father couldn't hold the seal and the kubi broke free. The 3rd Hokage was an old man, so he used the seal of the death god and sealed the fox into me. Because of the seal, I became blind, and at the council it was decided that the blind son of the Hokage was a disgrace and my father also agreed, and therefore I was sent to an orphanage under my mother's name. Ask, how do I know? Kurama or Kubi told me all this. Having heard the truth, I took it calmly, which greatly surprised my interlocutor. I promised to teach my father that blindness is not a reason to abandon children, because they may have unique abilities like mine. I am a very strong sensor, and since the chakra is everywhere, you can say I see as sighted. At the age of 6, I found the lair of Uchiha Madara. He had a plan to create an ideal world, and I was not interested, but I decided not to voice this idea, but to agree to implement his plan. I said that I was blind and I needed eyes, and Madara believed me, transplanted his eyes to me, and then he died, because he was an old man, and I killed his assistant Zetsu myself and calmly went home. Kurama, when he heard my story, was very happy. To be honest, I thought he would be angry that I have a Sharingan, which he hates, but he replied that thanks to me, Madara died and moreover gave me powerful eyes. This is Sharingan, Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan and Rinnegan, and this is his joy, because he hates Madara and did not want me to go blind. I did not say that I could see, because it could lead to terrible consequences, and therefore I did not take off my black blindfold. I was able to learn to see through my blindfold so that now I see better than any sighted person, because in addition to my eyes and dojutsu, I am also a sensor, and the thought that I am blind makes the enemy underestimate me. When I see the Jonins and Chunins training, I turn on my eyes and start copying their techniques. At the academy they laughed at me, because I am blind, except for 3 girls Namikaze Naruko, my sister, although she does not know about it, Hinata Hyuga, she is shy and therefore does not laugh at others, and Uchiha Sasuke, and she is because she is not interested in whether I have eyes or not. When everyone realized that their bullying didn't touch me, they were angry at first, but then they fell behind. I trained for a long time and even created my own technique, which I called the message of the past. The news of the past makes a person feel the same as those to whom he did something, any insult, blows, murders and even just bad deeds that he did, a person feels on his own skin. The message of the past is like a dark-colored fire, and when it is activated, the fire does not burn. Sensei came to call the lists of teams. I'm not interested in the other teams, team number 7, Namikaze Naruko, Uchiha Sasuke, Sarutobi Konohamaru and Uzumaki Naruto. Your sensei is Hatake Kakashi, sensei called our team. The fact that I'm on a team with my sister is good, but the fact that Konohamaru is on my team is bad. He is an idiot and anyone who knows him will say that, but they don't want to say it, because he is the grandson of the great 3rd Hokage. Although no, I said once that he was an idiot, and that's why he was offended, wanted to fight, but I beat him easily, only then they started scolding me that I beat the young grandson of the Hokage. However, I ignored everything they told me, all the teams had already left with their mentors, and we remained sitting and waiting for our own, although I already knew that our mentor Hitaki Kakashi was not punctual. Naruko and Konohamaru were indignant, and Sasuke and I were sitting as if we weren't here. Then Konohamaru started setting an idiotic trap, but how can an experienced jonin fall for such a childish trap? But no, I got my first impression. He's an idiot, my first impression. I don't like you. The same opinion about you, I agreed, which greatly surprised everyone, and Konohamaru even began to get angry and wanted to fight again. His life does not teach him anything. Naruko immediately started stopping him, and I like that about her. Let's go to the roof and talk there, he suggested, and we all climbed onto the roof. Konohamaru was still mocking me. Maybe he could help me get up, but I didn't listen to him. Introduce yourself, say that you love, dislike, hobby and dream. Give us an example, sensei, the sister suggested. I'm Hitaki Kakashi. What I love and don't love, I won't say. There is no dream, and hobbies don't concern you, Jonin told about himself. Of course, he will not say that he likes to read books for adults and likes to be late. He only told us the name. Konohamaru was indignant. But what did I do that I was given him to the team? There are already 3 of us, why the 4th? Although everything is clear about the number, because I'm blind and we had to balance the team. Now you, he pointed at Naruko. My name is Namikaze Naruko. I love my family and looks at me a little. I got into trouble. My sister fell in love with me, although she doesn't know. So it's not a problem, one person, and I don't like arrogant people. My hobby is training, and my dream is to become a Hokage. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I love tomatoes, my parents, my older brother and she looks at me despite the fact that I'm blind, as everyone thinks. I hope they won't fight for me, because I like them both, one person, and I don't like arrogant ones. It seems they don't like the same thing. That's already good. Hobby is training, and the dream is to become stronger than my brother. My name is Sarutobi Konohamaru. I love ramen, but I don't like Naruto, he says angrily, looking at me, and you know that I don't like you either, but I don't say anything. Hobby is training, and the dream is to become a Hokage. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I love people close to me, but there are few of them, and 2 of them are Sasuke and Naruko. And I don't like arrogant and traitors. If you look at it right away, you can see that Sasuke and Naruko were happy about it and blushed slightly. A hobby of training, but a dream so that everyone knows that blindness is not a sentence. Okay, tomorrow at 8 o'clock at the 14th training ground and don't be late. And I advise you not to eat anything, otherwise you might be sick, sensei advised and disappeared. But to spite him, I'll eat and take my teammates with me. But there may not be enough food for the 4th that I woke up at 6. Kurama is sleeping as always, but the ashes have already woken up and are sitting on the table and looking at me. Oh, I forgot to say, in addition to the fox rug, I have a raven. It happened a long time ago. I found a beaten raven and took it to myself. I helped him heal his wounds and wanted to let him go, but he stayed with me. Then Kurama and I broke our heads choosing a name for him, and then, about 2 hours later, we decided to call him Dust. I know the name is stupid, but we couldn't come up with more. But what was our surprise when the ashes were able to move a short distance, fly fast, search, and show the way faster and better than a compass and guide. Since then, a new member has appeared in our family, a black raven named Dust. Thanks to the ashes, I stopped getting lost and we are always together. I had breakfast, took some for Sasuke and Naruko and went to the training ground. When I arrived, I saw Konohamaru sitting on one pole, and Naruko and Sasuke were sitting in the shade leaning against a tree. Naruko wore orange pants, a black t-shirt and an unbuttoned orange jacket. Sasuke wore black pants and a blue t-shirt. I wear a black blindfold, the Konoha emblem on my neck, orange pants, a black t-shirt and a raincoat, like my father's, only black with red flames and a whirlpool sign instead of an inscription. Konohamaru looks the same as in the canon, so that there is no point in describing hi. I greeted everyone. I took food with me, will you? I asked, but we were told not to eat. My sister reminded me. If we eat a little, nothing bad will happen. I answered and everyone agreed, but I decided to upset Konohamaru. Sorry Konohamaru, but there's enough food for two. Konohamaru got angry, and the girls were already ready to fight over who I would eat with, but I beat them to it. I have already eaten so that you eat. I said, giving food to Naruko and Sasuke. They were both happy, thinking that I was showing that I liked them. They both guessed and did not guess. Naruko and Sasuke were eating. Konohamaru was trying to kill me with a look, and I was sitting under the shade of a tree, and the ashes were scouting the area. When the ashes sat on my shoulder to tell me the information he had collected, the girls had already finished and looked at us with a surprised look. I understand them. It's not every day a raven sits on a blind man's shoulder, and he didn't react in any way. What happened? I asked anyway. Is that your raven? Sasuke asked. Her brother also uses crows, so she asked first. Yes. His name is Dust. After seeing 3 pairs of surprised looks, I continued. A few years ago I found him injured, took him in, helped him, and then I didn't want to fly away, so I kept him with me. I puzzled over the name for a long time, but then I came up with Dust. The raven himself was not against it. Dust is very smart and capable, and now he was on a reconnaissance mission and brought me information about the area. I told him, and then we sat in silence. Konohamaru was figuring out how to take revenge on Sensei. Naruko and Sasuke looked at me with loving looks. The ashes are sitting on a tree, and I'm lying quietly. 2 hours later Sensei came. Hello. Sensei greeted him, and Konohamaru started complaining that he was late again. Sometimes I regret that with my eyes I have not lost my hearing yet, so as not to hear and not to see this monkey. I have 3 bells, you have to take them away before lunch. Whoever does not take it away will be left without lunch and will return to the academy. Everyone was scared except me. Sasuke and Naruko began to thank me mentally, because they are not hungry, thanks to me. Let's get started. Sensei shouted and we all hid, well, almost all of us. Konohamaru carried on Sensei, and he took his book and began to read. The essence of the test is teamwork, and Konohamaru won't want to work with me, and the girls will agree, but still, Konohamaru can't be abandoned. An idea. I decided not to hide my abilities and show them. I created 10 clones and we attacked Sensei together. Unlike Konohamaru, we didn't rush at him without thinking. We attacked Sensei so that it was difficult for him to read, and then he realized that we needed to fight more seriously. A blow, and his book falls to the ground, and I use fire and burn it. Kakashi is surprised and upset by the loss, but I'm sure he has 30 pieces of each kind at home, so it's not a big loss. Then we started attacking Sensei so that he would forget about the bells. The ashes calmly moved to Sensei, took the bells and flew away, and Sensei didn't even notice. 2 jonin to me. I dispelled the clones and walked away from Sensei and smiled. Have you lost anything, Sensei? And so, he looks and can't find the bells. When he asked me how I got the bells, I pointed to the branch of the tree where the ashes were sitting. The ashes came down, gave me the bells and sat on my shoulder. This raven's name is Dust and he got them while we were distracting you with clones. Explained his plan. And who will you send to the academy? Kakashi asked. Personally, I want to send Konohamaru back to the academy, but it's better that I leave myself so that you catch. I said and gave the bells to the others. Moreover, I ate at home. Of course I treated Sasuke and Naruko, but there wasn't enough for Konohamaru. I told him, which greatly surprised Sensei, you passed. The main thing is teamwork. Those who do not follow orders are garbage, and those who abandon their comrades are even worse than garbage. Sensei said, and we were all overjoyed. Tomorrow is our first mission. Don't be late. And Kakashi disappeared, and we all went about our business. A month has passed since becoming geniuses, and I will say, this is the worst month. We weeded vegetable gardens, walked dogs, caught cats, etc. Although, thanks to the ashes, it was easy to look for a cat, and at the end of all the tasks the whole team was grateful to him, and even fed him. Every day I want to say everything I think about D-rank tasks, but I was silent, but with each passing day my patience was getting short. Here we enter the Hokage's office to take a mission. My father looks at my sister with a smile, but he doesn't even recognize me. Anyone would think I wanted to go up and punch him, but no, I want to use the message of the past. This is much more painful. Here he is talking about the mission and I want to cast my vote, but I was outpaced. Dad, give us a normal C-rank mission. We have been doing D-rank tasks for a month now and we want more serious tasks. The sister demanded, and we nodded in agreement. Okay, I'll give you a task to accompany the bridge builder Tazan. When my father said that, a bridge builder came to us. The first impression about him is that he is a drunkard and these children will accompany me? Are they shinobi at all? Especially the blind one over there. Having said that, he made Naruko and Sasuke very angry. No one dares to insult their love. This is their logic, not mine. But they already wanted something, but I beat them to it. You're an alcoholic, too, and you don't look like a bridge builder, but I didn't say anything. I replied that Sasuke and Naruko were happy, and Tazuna himself was upset. In an hour at the Konoha gate and don't be late. After that we all dispersed. When I got home, Dust met me and sat on my shoulder. I'm not going anywhere without ashes, so after packing up, we went to a meeting with the team. The most surprising thing is that Sensei was only 10 minutes late, probably we are in for problems. And finally we go beyond Konoha. I remember coming out of here myself and finding Madara's lair. The old fool believed that I would help him. What kind of raven is that, kid? Tazuna asked. His name is Dust. I know it's a strange name for a raven, but I broke my head choosing. Dust is very smart and talented, he can show the way even without knowing where the target is, he is better and faster than a compass and a guide. The ashes are very fast and can travel short distances. I told him, after which everyone opened their mouths, after which I, Kurama and Dust laughed. We walked on in silence. I looked at the puddle that was on the road. Even without your sensory abilities, you can understand that this is a trap. I see Sensei understood it too, but he doesn't say it, so he decided to check us out and now two people break out and kill our Sensei. Everyone was scared except me, I just pretended to be scared. It's immediately clear that Sensei made a substitution. Now, these two are going to my sister, and whoever raises his hand to the people dear to me is waiting for torment. Naruko is still in shock, and the enemy is coming, so I stand between them and prepare one of my favorite techniques. A dark fire begins to burn in my hand, the news of the past. Shouting this, the fire went to the enemy and they saw all the terrible things that they had done. These two have fallen, and the sister is safe. Are you okay? Why yes. Thank you. She thanked me. Naruto, you did well, you were able to defeat two Chunin Nukanins of the Hidden Mist. What kind of technique was it? I have never seen or heard of such a technique before. Of course, you won't see or hear, because I created this technique. This technique is called the message of the past. It makes the opponent feel all the insults, blows, murders that a person has done to others. Everyone was surprised when they heard it. I understand them. Blind Genin was able to use such a technique. It's amazing. And who taught you to use this technique and what is its rank? It's immediately obvious that Jonin. I created this technique myself, but I do not know what rank. After hearing this, everyone's eyes became like a saucer. I think S rank. Sensei decided. Now Naruko and Sasuke will definitely try to start dating me. Personally, I don't mind, but I like both of them, and if I say it, it will be worse for me. It's better when both agree to unite, then we'll talk. We need to interrogate them. Sensei suggested when we tied them up, let me. I went up to the Rinnegans and said, "Do you remember that technique? If you don't want to experience it on your own skin, then tell me why you are here." Gato hired us to kill bridge builder Tazan. One of the brothers said, and the others realized that this technique was cruel. "Is there anything you want to tell me?" Sensei asked the customer. "There is a rich man named Gato. Because of him, everyone in the land of waves is starving. This bridge is the last hope of the inhabitants. We didn't have enough money, so I lowered the rank of the mission," told Tetsuna. Tetsuna-san is already a B rank mission, if not an A rank one. "We can go back," Sensei explained, "but we don't want to go back. This is a good chance to gain experience, and moreover, I do not want to leave people to die because I think that the A rank is not ours." Everyone agreed with me, and Tetsuna himself was delighted. "Okay, we will continue the mission." That we walked calmly until I felt someone approaching. "Get down!" I shouted, and everyone lay down, and on time, because a sword flew over our heads, and if I'm not mistaken, this sword is called the Decapitator, which belongs to Momochi Zabuza, demon of the hidden mist. "Everyone protect Tetsuna, this person is not your opponent," Sensei said and showed everyone his Sharingan. "However, if I show my eyes, I can beat him faster." Copy Ninja Kakashi. "Now we will find out who is stronger," the mist demon said, taking his sword. "Sensei, let me fight him." "You don't know all my powers," I said. Mummy Zabuza came at me with his sword. I didn't think I'd have to use my eyes. I calmly raised my hand and the swordsman flew away. Now he uses water clones. The dust helps me find the real one, and I go to it together with 10 shadow clones. In turn, he dispels them, and when the last one was dispelled, I used a fire dragon, which he responded with a water dragon. Now I'm moving away from him and using Amaterasu. Sensei and Zabuza almost dropped their eyes. And so I wanted to create more fire, but Zabuza himself fell dead. "Thank you. I've been tracking him for a long time, and thanks to you I was able to kill him." I immediately realized that they are at the same time because there is a way to kill for a while. "Take it," I answer. "Here's another proof," because they immediately take the head, and he took the whole body. "Naruto, how do you explain this?" Sensei asks. "It's not the right time, I haven't used my eyes for so long, and now, I'm losing consciousness." That I woke up in a room. It turned out that I was in Tetsuna's house. When I came down, the ashes flew up to me, saying that he was glad to see me whole, and the others looked at me with a questioning look, so silence hung. "What?" I was the first to break the silence. "What are these techniques and how do you know them?" "That black fire you made is a fire that the Uchiha clan can make, but how can you make it?" Sensei asked. "I have secrets and I will tell you if I understand that you can be trusted," I replied. "Although, I trust Naruko and Sasuke, and Sensei will not betray, but Konohamaru can tell everything to Hokage, and then I got into trouble." "Okay," Sensei replied. "I think Momochi Zabuza is alive. That Oinen took his body, but it was enough for him to take his head, and it says that he took him to heal," Sensei said. "So we start training. I will teach you how to walk on trees without hands," told Sensei. "I learned this about 6 years ago." "But Sensei, I've already learned that." Seeing the look, he continued. "The fact that I am blind does not mean that I did not train alone. Oh yes, I can also walk on water." After hearing this, Konohamaru got angry because he doesn't know how, and Sasuke and Naruko were happy, because this is proof that I am worthy to marry them. "Okay. So you'll be guarding the bridge. So a week passed. Naruko and Sasuke finished before Konohamaru, and that's why we guarded the bridge together. One day, I met a guy who looked like a girl and realized from the chakra that he was Zabuza's assistant, but I did not touch him. Today I stayed to guard the house, and the others went to the bridge with Tazuna. When I heard the noise, I went down and saw two people who wanted to take Tadzun's family hostage. Using the message of the past, I quickly defeated the opponents and went to help the others. When I arrived, I saw Sasuke and Naruko in an ice trap, Sensei fighting Zabuza, Konohamaru lying wounded, and Tazuna hiding. I quickly went to rescue the girls. After falling into the ice trap, I used Rinnegan and destroyed all the glasses, and Haku was thrown away by Shinra Tensei. I used the Banshee Tenon and pulled the Mist Demon to me and defeated him with a blow to the stomach. That's all, you'd think, if it weren't for the laughter. Gato and his mercenaries appeared on the scene. I'm angry, and that's bad for them. Dust, to me. I shouted, after which the ashes flew up to me and moved to Gato and his mercenaries. My whole body lit up with a dark fire. The news of the past. All the mercenaries and Gato will feel everything they've done. Do not think that this is the end. Amaterasu. The black fire burns everything, and I lose consciousness that I woke up in the same room as the last time. I have feelings of déjà vu. When I got down, my friends met me. Naruto, you're a hero. Sasuke and Naruko speak at the same time. Since they didn't get mad at each other, it says that they decided that I would be enough for both of them. It is very good, Naruto, you're lucky to have such a raven. The dust saved you from the fire, so you owe your life to him. Kakashi explained, thank you Dust. I owe you one. Then we finished the bridge. Zabuza and Haku decided to become Konoha shinobi. They wanted to name the bridge after me, Naruto Bridge, but I suggested another name, Blind Uzumaki. We returned from a mission in the Land of Waves. Sensei, Zabuza and Haku went to the Hokage, Konohamaru went home, and I went to Naruko and Sasuke. Naruko, Sasuke, I need to tell you something. Come with me. They followed me to my house. I used seals and now you can't go into my house, eavesdrop, peek. When I came in, I showed where to sit and decided to start telling. Do you remember what I said about secrets? I asked, yes. The sister answered. You said that when you trust us, you will tell us everything. Said the sister, and they were both upset. I trusted you too personally, but I didn't trust Konohamaru and Sensei. I made them happy. I'll tell you my story. 13 years ago, Konoha was attacked by a fox demon. Your father Naruko, the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato, sealed it in me. I started, but Naruko interrupted me. And why in you? The right question, I'll explain, but later. Many people lost loved ones during the attack, and since I am a Jinchuriki fox, all the residents blamed me for the deaths and beat me. Since birth, I had sensory abilities and therefore I could see no worse than the sighted. Once I got into the subconscious and met a fox there, flashback that I was standing not clear where. I feel a powerful chakra and went to her. I walked up to the giant cage. So that's who my jailer is, I heard a voice say, and who are you? I asked, I, the great and terrible, nine-tailed demon fox. Kid, break the seal and I'll share my power. He offered, and I answered. I don't need the power. I don't want to take strength, but to get it myself by training. After such an answer, the interlocutor was surprised. Then I'll tell you why they hate you. He suggested again, logically, they hate me because of you. I replied, which made the fox's eyes double in size, and you still calmly and politely communicate with me, even knowing that people hate you because of me? He couldn't believe it. Yes. It's not your fault they think you're a demon. People are cowards, and everything that is stronger than them, they are afraid. I replied, which made the fox even more surprised. Okay. I'll tell you who your parents are. Don't. I don't need to know who my parents are. I replied, oh, what do you want? What is it? He asked, what is your name? QB is a nickname, not a name. I shocked the fox with my answer. He thought I'd want to know who my parents were, why they hated me, how to get revenge, but not what his name was. You're right. My name is Kurama. You're the first one to ask him after Rikudo-sanin. He answered me, okay. As promised, I will break the seal. I started to approach the cage, but Kurama stopped me. If you just take off the seal, you will die yourself. To break the seal, you need a key, and I do not know where it is, thanks. As soon as I find the key, I will immediately break the seal. I promised. End of the flashback. That's how Kurama and I met. I told him, so you're friends with the fox? Sasuke asked, yes. He helps me a lot and told me who my parents are. I replied, and who? The nurse asked, I'd rather tell you at the end. It turned out that my parents decided that a blind son was a disgrace for them and abandoned me. I began, do you want revenge? The nurse asked, yes and no. Do you remember the technique of the message of the past? Seeing the nod, he continued. With this technique, I will make them feel what I felt when they abandoned me, and what was happening to me. I explained, I see. Sasuke understood. At the age of 6, I was walking behind Konoha and found the lair of Uchiha Madara. He was able to survive the battle with Hashirama and live for so long. He had a plan to use Tsukuyomi to create a world of illusions. I immediately realized that this was nonsense. No offense, Sasuke, but your ancestor is an idiot. I said I would help implement it, but I am blind and that's why he transplanted his eyes to me. And that I have Sharingan, Eternal Manjikyu Sharingan and Rinnegan. Madara himself was an old man and therefore died, and his partner, some kind of plant, I burned in a black fire. So you have the eyes of our clan? Sasuke didn't understand. Yes. I understand that using eyes that don't belong to me is not good, but it's better for me than for some person who wants to immerse the world in eternal Tsukuyomi. I agree. Sasuke agreed. During the academy, I liked 2 girls, or rather you. I said, which made Naruko and Sasuke happy. Then you know everything. I finished. And who are your parents? My sister asked, and now she will find out who she is to me. My mother is Uzumaki Kushina, and my father is Namikaze Minato. Seeing my sister's shock, I continued. We are Naruko, brother and sister, so I fell in love with my own brother? She asked when she recovered from the shock. Yes. Personally, I think this is normal. I said. I kissed each one, and then, Sasuke and Naruko and I decided not to tell anyone that we are together now, that Naruko and I are relatives and to behave as usual. I'm thinking of offering them to quit their shinobi careers and become actors. They have talent. Our sensei said that the exam for the rank of Chunin is coming soon and it's very good. Everyone will know my strength at the exam for the rank of Chunin. Now we are walking through the streets of Konoha and we see that some guy with a Suna symbol looks like he dreams of becoming a girl, holding some boy from our village. Let the kid go, otherwise there will be problems. I said, but the cosmetics lover did not believe it. And what are you going to do to me, blind? What is it? He asks. It's immediately obvious that he considers himself cool, a tough case. Dust. I shouted, and the raven understood everything. Flying up to the boy, he moved him, and then sat on my shoulder. 2 of the sand were very surprised. Did my raven surprise you much? You're a weakling, since even the raven could take what you had, and you didn't even interfere. I said, which greatly angered the decorated one. He's right, Kankuro, you're a disgrace to our village. Said the red-haired man who was standing on a tree branch upside down. Gaara. he said fearfully. It looks like he's afraid of him. I wonder why. Naruto, he's Jinchuriki Shikaku. I heard Kurama's voice, thank you. I thanked him. Another worthy opponent. Then we went to the academy where the first stage will take place. We go up to the second floor and see how many gathered around the auditorium. 201, but the illusion was imposed that it was 301. I look at the genins and understand that Konoha and other villages are full of idiots. I see Konohamaru believed it too. Izumo, Kotetsu, did Hokage demote you to genins? And yet, Auditorium 301 is on the third floor, not on the second. I said, and we went up to the third floor when the illusion was dispelled. When we were walking, Lee met us and wanted to fight with me to find out who is stronger and prove that he is more worthy of the beautiful Naruko. He is really strong in taijutsu, but I did not stop at ninjutsu and genjutsu, but trained in taijutsu and therefore we were equal, although both did not use all their strength in battle. We were interrupted by his teacher and Lee respects him very much. Here we enter the audience and some guy with glasses comes up to us and offers us information about people, but I refused to listen, and Konohamaru asked about Gaara and Lee. Here comes the examiner of the first stage, Marino Ibiki. It is immediately obvious that he is a master of torture, masterfully presses on the brains. These 9 questions are difficult to answer even for Jonin, and there is no need to talk about genins. So there's a different meaning here. There are definitely decoys here, you need to write them off. The ashes flew to the window and while flying managed to view all the answers. So he sat down and started giving answers, a clever raven. Oh, and here's the 10th question. He offers us a choice to leave and take the exam next year or stay and try to answer the question, but if we make a mistake, we can bury hope for the title of Chunin. It's immediately clear that he wants us to become fewer. We need to break his plans and raise the morale of the others. Let's have our 10th question already. If I remain a genin forever, this is not the end. My short speech raised the morale of the others, everyone who's left, passed. He delighted us. What about the 10th question? Asks the girl from the sand. It seems Tamari, there is no 10th question. The torture master replied. Then a woman appeared through the window, and she appeared by turning on her imagination. We were unlucky with the second examiner. As it turned out, our second examiner's name is Mitarashi Anko. I can tell by the look of her that she's not normal. You need to bring 2 scrolls to the tower, one of heaven and the other of earth. We got the scroll of heaven and now we need the earth. Going into the forest, I started looking for a target thanks to my sensory abilities. Feeling such a strong opponent, I was shocked. Or in some village genins are driven to the level of jonin, or some jonin decided to help the genins of his village. But still, we have problems. A powerful gust of wind began to blow us away. Konohamaru flew away somewhere, but Sasuke and Naruko are holding on. Well done, Sasuke. Naruko, leave. This opponent is not our level. I shouted, but what about you? The nurse asked, don't worry. With me is the power of the fox, Uchiha Madara and Rikudo Sanina. I said in a confident voice. It worked and the loved ones decided to retreat. Get ready, Dust, there will be a battle now. I said, taking off the blindfold, oh Naruto-kun, aren't you blind? The opponent was surprised. Yes, there was a kind person who gave me his eyes. And, somehow not politely, they know my name, but I don't. This person must be a shinobi of our village or at least know information about us. My name is Orochimaru. The opponent calmly said and took off the skin, and I was shocked. Now I'm definitely in trouble. Now step back, I need Sasuke-chan, not you. I will not betray my comrades. I shouted, or maybe you want to know something. Let me tell you who your parents are, why you are an orphan and why they hate you. Snake Sanin suggested, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, abandoned because I was blind, they hate me because I have a nine-tailed fox. I answered, which shocked for a minute and answered his dumb question. The fox is sociable. After which he activated Rinnegan in one eye, and Madara's eternal Manjikyu Sharingan in the other. Where did you get those eyes? I could barely pronounce Orochimaru, a gift from Uchiha Madara, the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan and Rinnegan. So you're even better suited for this role, Naruto-kun, than Sasuke-chan. Said Snake Sanin, no thanks, I will not betray Konoha and will not join you. I replied and started preparing for battle, using Rinnegan created a mechanical arm and began attacking Orochimaru with a weapon. The snake dodged all the attacks, and then released the snakes from the sleeve. The ashes went into combat mode and began to attack the snakes at a fast speed, and when the last attack passed, the 3 snakes were divided into 6 pieces each. Using Amaterasu, I wanted to burn the snake Sanin, but he shed his skin. How did he come up with such a thing? Releasing a sword from his mouth, he threw it and the sword flew towards me at breakneck speed. I didn't have time to dodge, repel, or at least intercept. A second and I start to lose consciousness. To my surprise, I feel that I am still alive. Looking around, I saw only darkness. I feel something pressing on my right shoulder. Turning my head, I see dust. Either he's dead, too, or we're alive. You're still alive. I heard behind me. Turning my head, I see. Kurama, what happened? I remember how we fought against Orochimaru, and then he pierced my heart with his sword. I can explain. I heard a voice. The voice belonged to an old man. Now I see another old man with a Rinnegan. Stop. Only Madara and Hagoromo had Rinnegan. Since the first one died in front of my eyes and was not like that, it was Otsutsuki Hagoromo, the one who defeated the 10-tailed one. To my surprise, the ashes flew to him and landed on his hand. You should have died, Naruto, but a demigod is not so easy to kill. A demigod? I don't understand. I barely managed to utter. The old man began to tell his story and about his sons. I know all this from Kurama's stories, but I didn't understand what he was driving at. Madara was the reincarnation of Indra, but he was also able to combine the power of Ashura, which allowed him to awaken Rinnegan. Since Madara was able to prolong his life, there was no reincarnation of Indra, but Ashura was, and you are him, Naruto. I fell down from what I heard. So I am the reincarnation of Rikudo Senin's youngest son. When Madara gave you his eyes, you received the power and Indra from which Rinnegan and Sharingan became your relatives. Sasuke became Indra's reincarnation, but you Naruto got the power of both Indra and Ashura before they did, and if you awaken the power, you will become stronger even than me. The reincarnations were supposed to be Sasuke and Naruko, but you have the power of both. The old man told me, but I didn't understand. What does it mean that I am the reincarnation of both Indra and Ashura? I asked, to which I received a nod. And Sasuke and Naruko are also reincarnations? Another nod. I'm confused. Explained, Ashura's power awakened in 2 at once. In you and in your sister. When you got Indra's power, Sasuke got it too. Since you received earlier and from the previous reincarnation, then you became the reincarnation of my eldest son. He explained, I understand now. Now explain, old man, what a demigod means. I asked, you have a huge power, and when she wakes up completely, you will get a power comparable to the gods. I see now. Kusanagi should have killed you, but I'm not letting you die. Now I cannot awaken the power of Ashura in you, but I can awaken the power of Indra in you. When you collect the chakra of the other tailed ones, then I will be able to give you strength. He said, and then held out his hand. Putting my hand down, I began to feel more chakra in my eyes. When it was over, I looked at the reflection in the water and stood in a stupor. Instead of the usual Rinnegan, I had a red Rinnegan with Tomio and in the middle my eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. As the first owner of such eyes, what do you call it, the divine Rinnegan? I said. And what are my abilities? When you wake up, you will understand everything and you have already used 2 of your abilities, which one? I don't remember using any abilities. When you wanted to heal the ashes, you unknowingly gave him part of your abilities from which he received the skill. That's where the dust knows how to do such tricks. What dust can do, you can do too. And the second is the news of the past. Somehow you were able to take a little of your strength and make the victims suffer for their sins. So that's where I was able to get this power from, and what kind of power a demigod has. Thanks for everything, old man. I thanked him before returning to reality. Orochimaru began to approach me. It looks like he wanted to take the sword and the eyes. I grabbed the handle and start pulling out the Kusanagi. Looking at Orochimaru with my new eyes, I saw a shock on his face that cannot be described. Thanks, for a gift. I said, clutching the handle of the Kusanagi. Pulling out my right hand, I used the power of my eyes and pushed Sannin and One Tree together with him. Yes, I didn't calculate the strength. Orochimaru's advice is to leave. I've become stronger and I can kill you. And don't forget to leave the scroll. No, I barely kept a serious face and tried not to laugh at the whole forest. No, who will you tell that one of the 3 legendary Sannins and the one who experimented on people is now afraid of Genin? They will not believe it, but they will also laugh. Horosho. The snake spoke in fright and handed over the scroll. Just the one we need. Then I went to look for the others. Thanks to my sensory abilities, it was not difficult to find them. I didn't tell them what happened, and then when the time came. Having hidden the Kusanagi, otherwise there will be unnecessary questions and they can reveal me, wearing a blindfold, we went to the tower. It turns out we came second, that we had to spend 4 days there. I was training new abilities, but so that no one noticed, Konohamaru was fooling around, Sasuke and Naruko were training. So 4 days passed when everyone gathered. The 4th, did not deserve me to call him father, began his speech, which I ignored. The battles have finally begun. Sasuke was fighting against a guy who was sucking chakra. Sasuke was able to defeat him with the help of taijutsu. Naruko fought with Kiba and won with the help of clones and Rasengan. Konohamaru went against Sakura. Pink-hair does not know how to do anything, and Konohamaru, though an idiot, but he has a 3rd grandfather and therefore he is trained like Naruko, but he does not have such a desire to train like his sister. My opponent is Ino. You can give up blind. I'll beat you up easily. She started venomously, then come on, like a real man, I'm giving you the first move. I said. She tried to transfer her mind and it worked. Only I am much stronger in mind, body and soul. Ino, your clan technique is strong, but it won't work on me. I said confidently. Everyone was in shock. Then we have a month until the next stage. From the memories of Rinnegan, Naruto decided to go to the source for eye training. When he came to the Uzumaki spring, he saw a white-haired man who is a Sannin according to the chakra. Realizing the situation, Naruto decided to teach the perverted hermit a lesson. After giving the command to the ashes, he broke the fence at a fast speed, and all the girls saw how a man was spying on them all this time. 3 people laughed over the picture of how the girls gave chase to a man, and he runs away and curses everyone for the fallen fence. And this is the legendary Sannin. More like a legendary pervert, Naruto thought. When Jiraiya was able to break away, he immediately approached the demigod. Naruto saw a clearly beaten and tired Sannin. Uzumaki noticed that the clothes were torn in several places. The demigod barely restrained himself from laughing again. You did it. Sannin said indignantly to Jinchuriki, what are you talking about? How could I do anything? After all, I'm blind. Uzumaki replied, pointing to the bandage, what's your name? Jiraiya asked, "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and you?" Jinchuriki asked, although he already knew Jiraiya, as well as the legendary pervert. "I've read his books myself," Jinchuriki thought. "I am one of the 3 legendary Sanins from Mount Myaboku, Jiraiya." Sanin said, getting into his coolest pose. "More like a legendary pervert from Mount Myaboku, Jiraiya," Uzumaki quipped. "Don't call me that." Sanin shouted indignantly, but immediately continued. "Do you want me to train you?" "Why?" Uzumaki was interested. "I still wanted to learn a new technique, the technique of summoning." The white-haired man answered without hesitation. "You have to sign it with the toads." "I and the 4th signed a contract with them," Sanin declared proudly. "Is there nothing else?" The demigod asked. "The technique was interesting, but I didn't want to summon toads." Upset, Jiraiya said that you can use a callback, and get to those animals to which he is more suitable. Because of Kyubi, Jiraiya thought that Naruto would get to the foxes. After folding the seals, Naruto went to the totem animals for a month. Naruto didn't know where he was. There was a lot of snow around. For 10 minutes Naruto searched for totem animals and at the same time tried not to become an ice statue. For the entire time of arrival, it is unknown where Jinchuriki could find only the temple, which, oddly enough, was not very frozen. There was a statue of the 3-headed Cerberus near the entrance. The heads were above the entrance, and the paws were on the sides. As soon as Uzumaki came closer, the statue came to life and it turned out that it was not a statue at all, but a real Cerberus. This is what Cerberus looks like. http://i233.photobucket.com/album/ee1/cat_higarashi/cerberus.png. Landing in front of Naruto, Cerberus spoke. "Who are you and why did you come to the Temple of Knowledge?" "What is it?" he asked, growling. "I am Naruto Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of the 9-tailed demon fox, and I am a demigod, and I got here using a reverse call." Naruto replied, looking at the 3-headed one. "I am an ice Cerberus and guardian of the Temple of Knowledge. You must prove that you are worthy of entering the Temple of Knowledge." The guardian growled and began to prepare for battle. He immediately stopped feeling the cold and got into a fighting stance. Cerberus began to prepare an ice attack, and Naruto a fire attack. The attacks collided and kept in balance until they disappeared. Releasing an ice attack into the sky, ice began to fall on Jinchuriki in large sizes, but Uzumaki easily escaped from them by moving. Summoning Kusanagi, Naruto took him in his right hand. When Cerberus jumped on him, Uzumaki deviated and turned sharply, stabbing the 3-headed man in the chin with a sword blow. While the opponent was getting up, Naruto wounded first in the right and then in the left paw. When the icy one came back, Uzumaki ran, and jumped on the guardian's head. The demigod began to hit one head with a sword. When the ice armor on one of the 3 heads was destroyed, Naruto covered his fist with lightning and struck with all his might. "The Ice Guardian has fallen. You won fairly and deserve to get into the Temple of Knowledge. Take me with you, you'll need me in the future," said Cerberus and turned into a weapon star. As soon as Uzumaki took the new weapon, the demigod again felt that he was starting to freeze. "In order not to become a new statue, the first thing I will do is find a way to warm up," said Jinchuriki, trying to warm up and tapping with his teeth. "Come to think of it, my life was both funny and sad at the same time. It seems to be an orphan, blind from birth, not loved by everyone. What is this, if not a tragedy? Especially knowing that my parents abandoned me, and not died. But what's fun? If you do not pay attention to my tragic biography, then you can notice one thing. My father rejected me because he considered me a disgrace who could not become a full-fledged person because of his blindness. Given his father's reputation, the position he held, it was especially unpleasant for him. What is the result? I have successfully passed the genin exam, and my strength is much greater than people think. Perhaps, if my parents hadn't abandoned me, I wouldn't have been able to become like this. But still, I was considered inferior, and the result? That seems funny enough. If a person hears all this, he can ask a completely logical question. From where? How do I know all this? The answer is quite simple: I had an informant. By the way, he was surprised by my reaction to the truth. Calmness. No more. I probably need to introduce myself. At birth, I was given a name, Naruto, and since my father abandoned me, the surname was given from my mother, Uzumaki. As already mentioned, today I have a distribution by teams. After yesterday's exam, my mother's name is Namikaze Kushina, in maiden Uzumaki. And Namikaze Minato's father. People who heard this may not be so surprised, because this is the fourth Hokage. And in a way, he's responsible for my blindness. There is such a demon, the nine-tailed one, which is, more precisely, a nickname, and so that he does not wreak havoc, he is sealed in people. Such people are called Jinchuriki, demon carriers. It is not difficult to guess that the attitude toward such, to put it mildly, is not very. During pregnancy, the seal that restrained him weakened, and since they could not hold the seal, the nine-tailed managed to break free. Having gained freedom, he began to destroy Konoha, killing quite a few people, until the third Hokage managed to seal him in the newborn son of Minato. That is, in me, the seal of the god of death perfectly fulfilled its role, sending a demon into the body of a child, taking the old man's life in return. But, only now, the seal caused damage to me, depriving me of sight. It turns out that in the death of the third, many people, and the blindness of the son, it is Minato who is to blame, not me or anyone else. That I was sent to the nearest shelter, because for a Hokage, a war hero, such a son is a disgrace, which will make him weaker in the eyes of others. However, they did not bother with the surname, calling Uzumaki. I learned all this from the nine-tailed himself, aka Kurama. This is his real name, given at birth. He was not pure evil, as people like to say, but just as alive that he wanted freedom. But even if I took the truth calmly, I promised to teach my father a lesson for everything. After all, blindness is not a reason to abandon children, because they can quite overcome it. Because of this blindness, I have one unique feature. Sensorics, the ability to feel the chakra, I have very much developed. Considering that the chakra is everywhere, I can quite navigate the world as a sighted person. Although I haven't had problems with my eyes since I was 6 years old. While walking, I managed to leave the village by chance, and found one cave where I met a living legend, literally. This place was the lair of Uchiha Madara, one of the greatest shinobi in history, who was the founder of Konoha. And who should have been dead for 100 years, but here he was, sitting in front of me. He had a plan, an ideal world where there are no wars and conflicts. And seeing in me someone who is offended by injustice, he offered me to become his heir. Those who complete his plan, creating a world of eternal illusion, eternal happiness. To clarify, this ideal plan immediately caused me a negative impression, and I was not going to implement it. But I understood perfectly well what answer Uchiha Madara was waiting for from me, and that he was not going to accept anything else. That's why I said yes. I will be his heir. I just didn't specify that I was only an heir, and I'm not going to make his plan a reality, but he did not pay attention to the secret meaning of my phrase. And he willingly fulfilled my request to solve the problem. The problem of vision. As a result, I have a Sharingan that belonged to the most powerful representative of the Uchiha clan, and a Rinnegan that Rikudo himself, the god of the shinobi world, had. After the eye transplant, Madara went to the next world with a calm soul. Still, he was an old man, and it was difficult to maintain his life. And after finding the receiver, in the person of me, it was possible to leave this world. Moreover, he left me an assistant because he lived no longer than Madara himself. After killing Zetsu, I went home, and Kurama, who had learned everything from my story, just laughed. No, he believed me, but the news about how the most hated person died like that made him happy. Although I was afraid that having his eyes would annoy Kurama, but he just waved it off. Do I have vision now? There is. Is Madara dead? Is dead. Do I have powerful eyes now? Without a doubt. Will I use them against Kurama? Never. So there are no problems that I didn't disclose the fact that I can see now. After all, this would cause a lot of questions and corresponding problems. Therefore, I calmly continue to wear my bandage, which does not bother me at all. The world opens up to me much wider than to any sighted person, especially since the thought that I am blind makes me underestimate, and I use not only this. My eyes allow me to copy techniques, so if I see how the Jonins and Chunins train, I immediately turn on the Sharingan, but I not only copied, but also trained myself, managed to create a technique that I called the message of the past. This technique makes the target feel the same way that those to whom he did something felt. Any insults, blows, murders, and even just bad deeds, a person feels in his own skin. Visually similar to a dark-colored fire that does not burn. Because of the defect, many people laughed at me at the academy, although I was not angry. It's a trifle, and even these are children, they don't understand a lot. True, there was an exception, those who treated me well, Narashikamaru, the lazy ones who still need to be looked for. Laugh at others? He would rather spend this time more efficiently, sleep. Akimichi Choji. Like everyone in the Akimichi clan, full of what he denies. People like to joke about his excess weight, so he didn't laugh at my problem, and even treated me to chips. Hyuga Hinata is a very shy girl, it's hard for her to talk to others, let alone laugh. And she herself is not particularly in high esteem in her clan. I wasn't going to raise my self-esteem at the expense of a blind person, and rather even understood. Uchiha Sasuke is probably the most popular girl in the academy, which treats everyone the same. I mean, she doesn't care if I have eyes or not. However, she still treats me positively, although she tries to hide it. And Namikaze Naruko, my sister, although she, unlike me, does not know about this. Like Sasuke, he treats me better, although it seems that he does not distinguish me from the general background. Seeing the attitude of the most popular towards me, and that I don't care about ridicule, they fell behind. Although at first they saw it as a challenge, which angered them. But there are still those who continue to try to mock me. While all these thoughts were spinning in my head, the distribution of teams began. I'm not particularly interested in who is in which team, and I was preparing to hear only my own. Team number 7. Namikaze Naruko, Uchiha Sasuke, Sarutobi Konohamaru, and Uzumaki Naruto. Your sensei is Hatake Kakashi. Sensei called our team. The fact that I'm on a team with my sister is good, but the fact that Konohamaru is on my team is bad. He is an idiot, and anyone who knows him will say it, but they don't want to say it, because he is the grandson of the great third Hokage, a hero who gave his life for the sake of the village. Although no, I said once that he was an idiot, and that's why he was offended. He wanted to fight, but I beat him easily. However, then they started telling me off that I beat the young grandson of the Hokage. However, I ignored everything they told me. Time passed, all the teams had already left with their mentors, and we remained sitting and waiting for our own, although I already knew that Hatake Kakashi was not punctual. But while Sasuke and I were sitting as if we weren't here, Naruko and Konohamaru were outraged, and loudly. Konohamaru even started setting an idiotic trap. How can an experienced Jonin fall for such a childish trap? Does he at least understand what he's doing? The first impression is that he is an idiot. Got it, my first impression. I don't like you. That was the first thing he said after he got hit on the head with a brush. The same opinion about you, I agreed, which greatly surprised everyone, and Konohamaru even began to get angry and wanted to get into a fight. His life teaches him nothing. Naruko immediately started to stop him. I like that about her. Let's go to the roof and talk there, he suggested, and we all climbed onto the roof. Konohamaru was still mocking me, saying he could help me get up, but I didn't listen to him. Everyone sat down. Introduce yourself, say that you love, dislike, hobby and dream. Give us an example, sensei, the sister suggested. Well, I'm Hataki Kakashi. What I love and don't love, I won't say, there is no dream, and hobbies don't concern you, Jonin told about himself. Of course, he will not say that he likes to read books for adults and likes to be late. He only told us the name. Konohamaru was indignant. But what did I do that I was given him to the team? I did not help the world at all, indirectly becoming the cause of Uchiha Madara's death. And there are already 3 of us, why did they add a 4th? Although everything is clear about the number, because I'm blind and had to balance the team. Now you, he pointed at Naruko. Given the opportunity to introduce herself first, Naruko was inspired. Being quite active, she couldn't wait to show how to really introduce herself. My name is Namikaze Naruko, I love my family and looks at me a little. Damn, I'm in trouble, it looks like my sister has fallen in love with me, although she doesn't know, so it's not a problem for her, one person, and I don't like arrogant ones. My hobby is training, and I dream of becoming a Hokage. It seems Kakashi also understood who she was referring to, and therefore shook his head. I probably thought that love relationships in the team would be problems, but I didn't linger on this for a long time and looked at the next one. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I love tomatoes, my parents, my older brother and she looks at me out of the corner of her eye. I hope they don't decide to fight for me, that's the last thing I need, and to be honest, I like both of them, one person, and I don't like arrogant ones. It looks like they don't like the same thing, that's already good. Hobby is training, and the dream is to become stronger than my brother. The second performance did not particularly make Sensei happy, judging by his look. It's not just a love relationship, but a real rivalry. Although the common features will allow you to rally faster. My name is Sarutobi Konohamaru. I love ramen, but I don't like Naruto, he says angrily, looking at me. I don't like you either, but I'm not saying anything. Hobby training, and the dream of becoming a Hokage. The situation is getting worse and worse, judging by Kakashi's mood. After all, the presence of someone who dislikes the object of love of others will become a big problem for interaction. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I love people close to me, but there are few of them, and 2 of them are Sasuke and Naruko, and I don't like arrogant and traitors. If you look at it right away, you can see that Sasuke and Naruko were happy about it and blushed slightly. A hobby of training, but a dream so that everyone knows that blindness is not a sentence. It looks like Kakashi is seriously thinking of giving up on us. After all, judging by my answer, either we will become an ideal team, we just need to eliminate the extra element, or there will be constant litter. Okay, tomorrow at 8 o'clock at the 14th training ground and don't be late. And I advise you not to eat anything, otherwise you may be sick, Sensei advised, after a brief reflection, and immediately disappeared. To spite him, I'll eat and take my teammates with me, but there may not be enough food for the 4th. And I even know which 4th one. After saying goodbye to the girls, ignoring one loud one, he went home, refusing to celebrate the formation of the team. If you celebrate, then after tomorrow, since today is a training session to prepare for, I woke up at 6. In this matter, my faithful comrade did not lag behind me. No, not Kurama, that fox was still sleeping. I was talking about the raven I took in. It was a long time ago, not far from my apartment there was an ordinary raven lying around, probably the children played with it like that. Feeling sorry for him, I wanted to help him by healing him. But when the time came to break up, he decided to stay with me, becoming attached, Kurama, and I had to try hard to choose a better name. Unfortunately, the fantasy refused to work, so we named his Ashes. Although more surprising was the power acquired from him, to move a short distance, and without moving, to fly quickly, as well as to search, to point the way. Straight the best guy. That's how a new member, a black raven named Dust, appeared in our small family. Thanks to him, I stopped getting lost, and we are always together. Before going to the training ground, I still had breakfast, and after cooking a little for my comrades, I went to the right place. On the spot, it turned out that I was the penultimate. Konohamaru took a comfortable position on one of the pillars, while Naruko and Sasuke sat down in the shade of the tree they were leaning against. The sister wore a black t-shirt, an unbuttoned orange jacket, and the same color pants, while Sasuke wore black pants and a blue t-shirt. My outfit stood out, because I was wearing a raincoat like the fourth, just a different color, namely black with red flames, with a whirlpool sign, a black blindfold, and also the same color pants and t-shirt as my sisters, proving our kinship. Hello. I greeted everyone. I took food with me, will you? He asked, looking around the girls with his eyes. But we were told not to eat. My sister reminded me, seemingly torn by conflicting desires. If we eat a little, nothing bad will happen. I replied, and after a moment's thought, everyone agreed with me, but immediately decided to upset one. I'm sorry, Konohamaru, but there's only enough food for two, but you're going to give in. Konohamaru got angry, and the girls seemed ready to fight over who I was going to eat with, but that's why I beat them to it. Since I've already eaten, so take it together. Naruko and Sasuke said this and passed the breakfast. They were both happy, believing that in this way I was showing that I liked them. They both guessed and did not guess at the same time. Naruko and Sasuke started enjoying my cooking, while Konohamaru tried to kill me with a look, while I was sitting under the shade of a tree, and the ashes were scouting the area. As soon as the ashes sat on my shoulder to tell me the information he had collected, the girls had already finished and looked at us with a surprised look. I understand them, it's not every day a raven sits on a blind man's shoulder, and he didn't react in any way. What happened? I asked anyway. Is that your raven? Sasuke was the first to voice the general question. Her brother also seems to use crows, so she is more interested. Yes. I did not hide anything, but at the same time I will consider, the sixth member of the team, although he is definitely above one idiot in terms of usefulness. His name is Dust. After seeing 3 pairs of surprised looks, I continued. A few years ago I found him injured, took him in, helped him, and then I didn't want to fly away, so I kept him with me. I know it's a strange name, but he doesn't mind. In confirmation of my words, he raised his voice and shook his beak. Dust is very smart and capable. He was on a reconnaissance mission and brought me information about the area. I told him, although they didn't really believe me on the last part. Then we sat in silence. Konohamaru was figuring out how to take revenge on Sensei. Naruko and Sasuke looked at me with loving looks. The ashes are sitting on a tree, and I'm lying quietly. That's how our waiting time passed, about 2 hours, until Sensei came. Hello. Sensei greeted him after his appearance, and immediately earned a complaint from Konohamaru. Sometimes I regret that I haven't lost my hearing with my eyes yet, so as not to hear and see this monkey. Let's start the test. I have 3 bells, you have to take them away before lunch. Whoever does not take it away will be left without lunch and will return to the academy. Everyone was scared except me. Sasuke and Naruko began to thank me mentally, because they are not hungry. Let's get started. Sensei shouted and we all hid, well, almost everyone. Konohamaru carried on Sensei, and he took his book and began to read. The essence of the test is teamwork, but Konohamaru won't want to work with me, and the girls will agree, but still, Konohamaru can't be abandoned. An idea, I decided not to hide my abilities and show them. Created 10 clones and we attacked Sensei together. Unlike Konohamaru, we didn't rush at him without thinking. We attacked so that it was difficult for him to read, and then he realized that we needed to fight more seriously. A blow, and his book falls to the ground, and I use fire and burn it. Kakashi is surprised and upset by the loss, but I'm sure he has 30 pieces of each kind at home, so it's not a big loss. Then we started attacking Sensei so that he would forget about the bells. The ashes calmly moved to Sensei, took the bells and flew away, and sensei didn't even notice, too jonin to me. I dispelled the clones and walked away from sensei and smiled. Have you lost anything, sensei? And so, he looks and can't find the bells. To his mute question, how did I get the bells, I pointed to the branch of the tree where the ashes were sitting. The ashes came down, gave me the bells and sat on my shoulder. This is my raven, he got them while the clones and I were distracting you. Explained his plan. And who will you send to the academy? Kakashi asked, but apparently, this is part of his test. Well, let's answer the truth. Personally, I really want to send Konohamaru back to the academy, because he annoys me. But he still has more chances to become a full-fledged shinobi, so it's better if I leave myself, so catch it. Having said that, he gave the bells to the others. Moreover, I ate at home. Of course I treated Sasuke and Naruko, but there was not enough for Konohamaru. There will be a small bonus for him. I added, which greatly surprised Sensei. At first, he drilled us with a serious look, but after that he changed his mood to the opposite, smiling. You passed. The main thing is not personal strength, but teamwork. Those who do not follow orders are garbage, and those who abandon their comrades are even worse than garbage. Sensei said from the bottom of his heart, and we felt it and were glad. Tomorrow is our first mission. Don't be late. And with these words, he disappeared. Well, and we went about our business. Now we are a real full-fledged team, and we have a real shinobi job ahead of us. I can't wait. A month has passed since I became a genin, and to be honest, this is the worst month in my life. Seriously, we weeded vegetable gardens, walked dogs, caught cats, etc. Although, thanks to the ashes, it was easy to look for a cat, and at the end of all the tasks the whole team was grateful to him, even fed him. Every day I want to say everything I think about D-rank tasks, but I was silent. I endured, not wanting to become intolerant. But with each passing day, patience became too little. Here we enter the Hokage's office to take a mission. Namikaze Minato, the fourth Hokage, he's my father, looks at his sister with a smile, but he doesn't even recognize me. It could have been decided that I wanted to go up and punch him, but no, I want to use the message of the past. This is much more painful and effective. Here he is talking about the mission and I still want to cast a vote, but I was outpaced. Well, Dad, give us a normal C-rank mission. We have been doing these D-rank tasks for a month now and we want more serious tasks. My sister demanded first, and we nodded in agreement, expressing support. Hokage looked at it with a smile, because not only their team complains about it. Another thing, only Naruko, as his daughter, decided to express it so openly. And he didn't mind at all, he still understands his daughter's feelings. Okay, I'll give you a harder task. He nodded, to the delight of team number 7. Your task is to accompany the bridge builder Tedzuna to his house. When these words were uttered, the one who was called the bridge builder came to us. The first impression of him is that he is a drunkard. And these children will accompany me? Are they shinobi at all? Especially that one over there, is he blind? By saying this, he made the girls very angry. No one dares to insult their love. This is their logic, not mine. But they were about to say something, but I beat them to it. You, in turn, are an alcoholic, and you don't look like a bridge builder at all, but I was silent before that. I replied, to which Sasuke and Naruko were delighted, and Tedzuna himself was upset. After all, it's true. After that, we all went to the training camp, which was limited to 1 hour, but for me, who didn't have a lot of things, it took a maximum of 20 minutes. On the way I walked with ashes on my shoulder, because I'm not going anywhere without him. He's my best friend and closest friend. The most amazing thing is that our sensei, who managed to be late always and everywhere, came only 10 minutes later. We probably have problems waiting for us, and finally we go beyond Konoha. I remember coming out of here myself and finding Madara's lair. The old fool believed that I would help him, but as a result I have new eyes, and his plans are destroyed forever. We were almost silent all the way, from time to time exchanging not particularly significant remarks. Some glanced at the dust sitting on his shoulder, who did not pay such attention at all, but it didn't work out to pass it without incident. I looked at the puddle that was on the road. Even without your sensory abilities, you can understand that this is a trap. Apparently Sensei also understood this, but does not say. Maybe he decided to test us. Well, let's show him that we are not so incapable, and now two people break out and kill our sensei. This action scared everyone, although I only pretended, because I understood that he definitely could not fall for such a simple blow. Others, because of the sharpness of the moment, did not realize that he was just using substitution. These two are going to my sister, and the one who raises his hand to the people dear to me is waiting for torment. Naruko has not yet recovered from the shock, and the enemy is coming, so I stand between them and prepare one of my favorite techniques. The enemy was focused on one target, so it was not difficult for me to create shadow clones, and while they were flying at me, they received blows from my clones from the back. These two fell, and the sister is safe, so everything is fine. Are you okay? I asked, looking at her through the blindfold. Why yes. Thank you. She thanked me, with surprise and disbelief. Well done, Naruto was able to defeat two Chunins of the Hidden Mist. The appearance of Kakashi surprised me even more than my victory, because he had already been recorded in the dead. But his gaze shifted from me to the defeated, whom my clones had already tied up. We need to interrogate them, and the interrogation went well, and we learned a lot of important information that made us tense up. And the bridge builder himself to turn pale. A mission of rank C implies a minimal threat, for example, an attack by several groups of ordinary people who do not own the chakra. Such a task is just for our team that graduated from the academy only a month ago. Only here is the land of waves, where our customer, Tazuna, lives, is under the yoke of a local rich man named Gato. His business flourished due to the special situation of the country, but the bridge that Tadzuna wants to build can bring hope back to the residents, as explained by the bridge builder himself. Therefore, Gato is not profitable to build a bridge, so he decided not to be petty and hire shinobi and chunins at once. He could not pay for a task of the appropriate rank, because the residents already do not live in the best conditions. So he decided to lower the rank of the mission. I am torn by two opposing desires. On the one hand, there is a minimum of rank B, and the keyword is minimum, and even I may find it difficult to cope with the enemy. Moreover, it's also us, the best of our generation. If others were in our place, this is certain death, and all of them. And on the other hand, to leave other people in danger, just because I'm worried about my life? How will it be better than those who despised me and did not want to help just because of blindness? Sensei of course wanted to refuse, because here is the daughter of his mentor, the head of the Uchiha clan, the grandson of the third Hokage, and me. He can't risk us, and if we were ordinary geniuses, he wouldn't dare either. Only this is Kakashi's decision, not ours. After hearing all this, we unanimously began negotiations among ourselves, completely ignoring the elders. Even Konohamaru, who took part in this, did not insult me. After all, one thing is a personal attitude to one person, and the fate of the innocent is another. For all his character, he is still not a cruel person. Our general opinion was unanimous, and although no one wanted to put their lives on the line, they were not particularly eager to run either. Therefore, after discussing the small details, we made a general decision. Sensei, we don't want to go back. Naruko voiced the general decision, remaining adamant. This is a good chance to gain experience, and moreover, I do not want to leave people to die because B and A are not our rank. Her words were accompanied by our nods. He, in turn, looked around at us all, and seeing our resolute faces, could only sigh wearily. They won't be able to convince us anyway. Okay, we will continue the mission. His tone was the opposite of our cheers, as was Tazuna's relieved sigh. Although he saw our intention, he understood that the captain, that is, Kakashi, had the last word. After that, our way passed in silence and full combat readiness. But after those Chunins, no one attacked us until the very moment we left one boat, but even such silence did not allow me to relax, but on the contrary, only to concentrate harder. Therefore, I met the approach of someone especially loudly. Get down. I shouted, and everyone lay down, without trying to figure it out, in time, because a huge sword flew over our heads. I'm not sure exactly, maybe similar, but I kind of read about such a sword. Decapitator, one of the hidden mist swords that belongs to the renegade, Momochi Zabuza. Momochi Zabuza, demon of the hidden mist. Judging by how Sensei recognized him, my assumptions. Everyone protect Tazuna. This man is not your opponent. Sensei said the obvious truth, taking off the blindfold and showing the Sharingan hidden there. Not only do I hide my eyes, however, if I show mine, I can show the result much better. Copy Ninja Kakashi. Our opponent also recognized him, remaining satisfied. Now we will find out who is stronger among us. He said, taking his sword. The fight was impressive, both gave their best, and we also tried not to sit idle, giving full support. But the main thing here was not to interfere, and not to accidentally let Tazuna attack. After all, Zabuza may well have accomplices. Feeling that the fight was dragging on, I was about to use something from my hidden arsenal, when the unexpected happened. Momochi Zabuza fell dead, and a masked shinobi appeared next to him. Apparently, he was being hunted by someone from the hidden mist. Thank you. The unknown did not show any aggression to us. I've been tracking him for a long time, and thanks to you I was able to kill him. All we had to do was nod to him, allowing him to take the body, although it seemed suspicious to me. Why take the whole body? It's not convenient. After that, we managed to get to the bridge builder's house without incident. I did not voice my suspicions. We were greeted with a rosy welcome, and how happy were the news that we would protect them until the end of the bridge construction. We definitely earned free accommodation with meals, but the next day Sensei gathered us for a training session, where he voiced what I was already thinking about. I think Momochi Zabuza is alive. That Oinen took his body, but it was enough for him to take his head, so they may have worked together. Sensei confirmed my thoughts. So, we start training. We have time until his wounds heal, and we must use it to improve. And the first thing you should do is learn to walk on trees without hands. Just as he was about to demonstrate, my hand went up. Sensei, I've already learned that. Seeing the looks, he continued. The fact that I am blind does not mean that I cannot train on my own. To clarify, I can also walk on water. After hearing this, Konohamaru got angry. He doesn't seem to know how, and Sasuke and Naruko were happy, because this is proof that I am worthy to marry them. It's too early for something serious, so you'll be guarding the bridge for now. Kakashi made the decision, which I accepted without any questions. So a week passed. While the others left in the morning for training in the forest, and returned in the evening tired, I was next to Tetsuna. Dust constantly patrolled the area, mixing with other crows. The competitive spirit helped Naruko and Sasuke finish first, and then they started helping me. Konohamaru also achieved the same indicator, with a lag of a day. But I not only worked, but also found time to rest. And during one of these I met a guy who looked quite similar to a girl, but I recognized the chakra. So this is what Zabuza's assistant looks like. But I didn't show it. There's no reason to start a fight ahead of time. It was on the day when I was being guarded at home that he was attacked. Two people tried to take a family hostage, but I easily dealt with them, because they are not even shinobi, but such a brazen move means that they could have attacked the bridge. So when I arrived there at top speed, I saw Konohamaru lying wounded, who was trying to get up and protect Tazuna, who was hiding. Sensei continued the unfinished battle with Zabuza, while Sasuke and Naruko were locked in a kind of ice trap. Deciding that the girls needed help most of all, I destroyed all the glasses with the help of Rinnegan, and threw the enemy himself with the help of Shinra Tensei. Seeing the defeat of his comrade, Zabuza was distracted, which sensei immediately took advantage of, finally coping with him. But the vile laughter did not give a sigh of relief the same Gato, in the company of his mercenaries. As it turned out, he was not going to pay Zabuza, but was just going to finish off the wounded. In a fit of anger, I decided to do what would seem to be madness. Approaching the wounded, but no less angry, and to his surprise, instead of getting, on the contrary, healed his wounds, I think you have something to say to them. I nodded at a bunch of people. 4 ordinary people. Against one of the 7 mist swordsmen, there was nothing to talk about the meat grinder that had begun. All we could do was look at it, even though they looked at me suspiciously. To this I said that I also have my own secrets, which I will reveal when I trust them. More precisely, I already trust 2 of them, but the rest should not know about it. In gratitude for the help, Zabuza and Haku, that was the assistant's name, did not continue the task, especially since the customer is dead. They even expressed a desire to become a part of Konoha, which caused Sensei to fall. Time has passed, and in a less tense environment, knowing that Gato is no longer a threat, the construction of the bridge has been completed. And what will it be called? Naruko asked, and Tazuna looked at me, who had made a high contribution. Our team left the next day, after the completion of the construction of the bridge and the celebration of liberation. We were pleased with our contribution to the construction of the blind Uzumaki Bridge. After such a long absence, Konoha seemed to look different, because I missed her. But it seems that they were not absent for so long, but so many events at once bore fruit. Although Zabuza was a nuke nin, but still he is not quite strong, so he can be made a Konoha shinobi. Sensei just went to negotiate on this topic, plus Haku. Konohamaru immediately went home, but I interrupted Naruko and Sasuke, who were going to do the same, by approaching them. Are you in a hurry? I just need to tell you something. They both shook their heads after a moment's thought. I took them to my dorm room. Of course, the local interior was not particularly suitable for the heiress of the Hokage and the head of the Uchiha clan. But they didn't mind. Although thanks to several seals with which I covered the apartment, it will not be possible to eavesdrop, as well as to spy. And you won't be able to enter without a signal. Do you remember what I said about secrets? I asked them when they were all seated. Yes. The sister answered first. You said that when you trust us, you will tell us everything. This phrase seemed to upset them. Well, we need to clarify. Personally, I fully trust you, but not Konohamaru and Sensei. I will tell you my story, complete and true, without hiding anything. The girls who heard this immediately pricked up their ears, ready to listen carefully to everything. I took a deep breath and started the most important part. As you know, 13 years ago Konoha was attacked by a 9-tailed fox demon. The 4th Hokage, Namikaze Minato, sealed it in me, making me a Jinchuriki. I started, but Naruko interrupted me, which was to be expected. But why did Dad seal it in you? She asked the right question, because for her father I am nobody, and he should not have known about my existence. I'll explain, but a little later. I decided to omit this point for now. I will clarify later. Many people lost loved ones during the attack or suffered themselves, and since I am a Jinchuriki fox, all the residents blamed me for the deaths, and therefore beat me. It's not really a secret, but the girls were worried. I was blind from birth, but instead of vision, I had developed sensory abilities, so I could see no worse than sighted people. But the main thing is not that, but that once I got into my subconscious, it was already possible to understand what I was driving at, but still decided to voice the phrase. There I met a fox. Flashback. I was standing not clear where, not knowing what I need to do. But at the same time, I felt a powerful chakra, not the kind that shinobi usually have. And so I went to her. There I was met by a giant. So that's what my jailer looks like. A voice sounded that definitely could not belong to a person. And who are you? As a child, I was not afraid of the unknown, but I tried to speak politely. I? The voice sounded with a grin. The great and terrible, nine-tailed demon fox. Although this performance did not tell me anything, but it was possible to feel the power in them. Kid, be so kind, tear off this seal, and in return I will reward you with my power, such as you could not even dream of. He offered, in a tempting voice, but still could not interest me. But I don't need power, especially someone else's. This answer seemed to surprise the interlocutor, although not showing himself, but he still wanted to interest me in removing this seal. And what if in return I tell you why everyone hates you? He tried a new attempt. Maybe it's because of you? Even though I am a child, it was not difficult to understand that, apparently, I am inside myself. And since there is a demon in me, it was possible for a child to add 2 plus 2. But this surprised the fox even more. And even realizing this, you still calmly and politely communicate with me? He just couldn't believe it. Very much so. But it's true. But even so, it's not your fault that I'm considered a demon because of you. I didn't blame him, nor did I consider him a demon. Probably because he was not like everyone else. People. After all, we are cowards, and everything that is stronger than us, we are afraid. I added, realizing that I also fall into this category. After all, I am also a person, but I am not afraid of a stronger interlocutor. Because we are separated by a cage? Probably not unusual. He stretched out, finally revealing himself. A giant red fox. For such an unusual answer, I'll tell you who your parents are. Please don't. I shook my head, not wanting to know who they really were. But what do you want then? He asked, and the money changers had an answer. What's your name? I asked innocently. You couldn't have been called nine-tailed at birth. With my answer, I seemed to have thrown the fox into shock. It looks like he wasn't expecting such a question. You're right. After coping with his surprise, he decided to answer. My name is Kurama. And you know, you're the first one to ask him. Only my father knew him. He answered me. Nice to meet you. My smile was sincere. As you wanted, I will break this seal. Since he fulfilled my request, then I must fulfill it. But Kurama himself interrupted me halfway. Wait. The initial tone changed to concerned. If you just take off the seal, you'll die yourself. I need a key to be safe, but I do not know where it is. If so, then when I find it, I will definitely use it. I promised, holding out my fist. To my surprise, the fox did the same. Our fists collided, symbolizing the beginning of our friendship. End of flashback. That's how Kurama and I met. Finished the story, and then enjoyed the reaction of the girls. So you're friends with the nine-tailed fox? Sasuke asked incredulously, but there was no condemnation in her words, which I was afraid of. Just surprised by the fact itself. Yes. Nodded, confirming what was said. He helps me with many things, the best advisor. And although I didn't want to at first, I still found out who my parents really were. The unspoken question hung in the air. I'd rather tell you at the end. It turned out that my parents decided that a blind son was a disgrace for them, so they abandoned me. Do you want revenge? Asked the sister, who doesn't know about it yet. Yes and no. On the one hand, I want to tell them everything I think and feel. But on the other hand, it's more morally, not physically. I don't hate them. I explained. Instead of continuing right away, I decided to give them some time to accept what they heard. They didn't feel anything negative towards me, rather disrespect for the people who abandoned me. When I was 6 years old, I was walking behind Konoha, and accidentally found the lair of Uchiha Madara. Yes, he survived the battle with Hashirama and was able to live for so long. Seeing even more disbelief in Sasuke's eyes than when telling about Kurama, he immediately clarified. He had a plan to use Tsukuyomi to create a world of illusions where all people would be happy. I immediately realized that this was nonsense. No offense, Sasuke, but your ancestor is insane. But instead of saying it directly, I did the opposite. I said that I would help to implement it. In return, he gave me his eyes, and then died, because age took its toll. By removing the blindfold, they could see how my eyes alternately changed. And that I have Sharingan, Eternal Manjikyu Sharingan and Rinnegan. Do you have the eyes of my clan? Sasuke clarified, but was not indignant in any way. I understand that using eyes that don't belong to me is not respectful towards your clan, but it's better to let me have them than some person who wants to immerse the world in eternal Tsukuyomi. I didn't think to justify myself, because I like to use eyes. Nothing, I understand everything. She nodded. Well, since this point has been sorted out, then there is one more thing that they need to know. More precisely, two. Since the moment of studying at the academy, I liked two girls, or rather you. My phrase made the girls blush and rejoice that I saw that they have a lot to say, but there is one more point. And Naruko voiced it. So who are your parents? My sister asked, and now she will find out who she really is. My mother's name is Uzumaki Kushina, and my father is Namikaze Minato. Seeing my sister's shock, I continued. We, Naruko, are brother and sister, twins. So I fell in love with my own brother? She asked when she recovered from the shock, and what caused me to grin. And I'm into my own sister. I added, after which I kissed her first, and then Sasuke. We have a lot to discuss and decide, but that's later, this is first. Show my love for them. After yesterday's conversation and confessions, it was decided between us not to show our new relationship yet. No, not in the sense that we are shy or something like that. There will just be extra questions that will be difficult to answer at the moment, seeing how at the next meeting they didn't show a shadow of emotion. If it weren't for Shinobi, they could have become great actors, definitely a talent. Which will be useful in our career as well. At the next meeting of our team, we were surprised by the news that soon an exam for the title of Chunin will be held in our village. But what was more surprising was that Sensei recommended us to participate. Usually, after all, you need to spend a year as a genin to gain the necessary experience and skills. It's better for me, this exam will finally reveal my true strength. The main thing is to keep it until the very end. While our team was walking through the streets of Konoha, 3 people passed by us, not from our village. Thanks to the blindfold, my interest was not noticed, but I managed to figure out where these came from. The village of Sand. It seems nothing like that. People came to the exam, what's the big deal? But when a red-haired man passed by, from whom the others stayed away, I felt a thirst for blood. Not directed at someone in particular, just a thirst for blood, and the person himself had an emotionless expression on his face, but that was until his gaze swept over me, and such a simple action caused a reaction from his team. Gaara. The painted one voiced his face, and he did it in a frightened way. It looks like he's afraid of him, but I wonder why. He is also a Jinchuriki. A voice that belonged to Kurama rang in my head. Are you sure? I asked incredulously. Not in the sense that I don't believe my friend, but still, such a meeting. After all, usually Jinchuriki are considered the trump card of the village, they are not released without a reason. Although perhaps Kazekage wants to demonstrate his strength? More than. I could feel him nodding. This is Shikaku, thank you. I thanked him for the important warning. Such an opponent will be worthy, but you need to be on guard. During the day, we came across shinobi from other villages. They did not arrange conflicts, and rather tried to study future rivals, and at the same time without giving themselves away. Among them were mostly older than us, those who probably do not pass the exam for the first time. The next day we went to the place where, according to Sensei, the first stage will take place. The place is very familiar to us, because not so long ago we visited it for so many years. The academy. We need an office 301, but after going up to the second floor, we saw a crowd of people. They all crowded around door 301. But this is the second floor, especially since there are 200 and 202 between this office, you can still understand if it were shinobi from other villages. You never know what kind of layout we have at the academy. But for our own to fall for such a trick? And even Konohamaru bought it. Which people, Izumo, Kotetsu, Hokage demoted you to genins? Naruko was the first to speak, recognizing those who did not allow genins to pass into the wrong office. And also, Auditorium 301 is on the third floor, not on the second. Sasuke added, after which the illusion was dispelled, which caused a storm of indignation. The examiner of the first stage was a man who introduced himself as Marino Ibiki. I've heard a little about him, and what I've seen only confirms the rumors. Rumors are masters of interrogation and torture. He immediately put all the dots, and kept serious pressure on us. The goal of the stage is to answer 10 questions, and the final one will be announced sometime before the end. One member of the team is excluded, the whole team is out. If you get caught cheating 5 times, you're out. A knowledge test. Perhaps, because the chunins should know enough. But aren't the questions too complicated? It's not like chunin, it's possible for the jonins to have questions. Do they want to weed out the incapable, such as just become geniuses, and leave the already experienced ones? Again, it's not so much a question of experience. It turns out something different here. Why are we given the opportunity to stay, even if they catch us once? And the other examiners who came with Marino Ibiki are looking so intently? The pressure was enough for many to understand that this is not a joke, although, probably. Precisely. The purpose of the exam is not to test knowledge, but skills. After all, we are shinobi, our goal is to be inconspicuous, and to be able to extract information. Therefore, 5 attempts. And if disqualified, then only after the 5th. So we are given a chance. Surely there will be those among the genins who will be able to answer questions, maybe not all, but they will be able to. But there are fewer of them. Examiners should not make the exam too impossible. Wait until the smartest ones sort out the questions, and then write off those who found the answers first. It's too risky, you may not have time. Most likely, decoys could have been planted here, thereby giving another opportunity. I just need to figure out such people, and, although why should I worry so much? I have a partner. The dust that understood everything left my shoulder, and flew to the balcony, looking at those sitting below. The examiners could not find fault with this, since he did not interfere with writing in any way, and was silent during the palette. And even if they understand that the raven will transmit the answers to me, they are not able to count. Still, it must be proved first, and it looks like I'm not the only one, and judging by the voice of one dog, he also transmits the answers to his master, Inazuka Kiba. It's a pity I can't pass the answers to the others in this way, especially Konohamaru, although the dust is smart, but only I understand it. Sasuke should definitely understand the meaning of the first stage, here with Naruko. I'm not sure. Konohamaru definitely won't understand, there's no doubt about it. Then hope for the 10th question, if it will allow us to keep the whole team. In 15 minutes, a rather interesting question was asked. Leave after trying next year, or stay and answer it. Fail, eternal genin. Of course, this is hard to believe, because it's normal to fail the exam and try the next one. And his argument that the examiner sets the condition himself is not particularly convincing. Probably another trap, but here's the thing, people who haven't answered a single question may well be scared. After all, if the 10th question is not better, then they will not only drown themselves, but also pull their comrades with them. In such a situation, it is quite difficult to realize that the examiner cannot decide chunins titles forever, and the worst thing is that there may also be such among us. If not for myself, then for a weaker member of the team. So, we need to cheer up the others a little. Let's have our 10th question already. If I remain a genin forever, this is not the end. But before I could say anything, Naruko spoke first. Exactly. Konohamaru followed her example. Do you think I will be scared of what question? I will become the next Hokage, as great as my grandfather. Such a seemingly short but emotional phrase from two genins helped to regain confidence. Those who had already left could not hear her, and those who lost confidence after each one left, lowered their hand ready to rise. That I didn't expect this from them myself, but I was pleasantly surprised. It looks like Konohamaru is not completely lost, as I initially thought. That everyone who remained, the examiner took a minute's pause. It seems that he decided to make us even more nervous. Passed. Those who heard the answer did not believe what was said. What about the 10th question? The girl from the sand asked. There is no 10th question. The examiner answered, and explained what the exam was and the meaning of the 10th question itself. So my reasoning was correct. When he finished, a woman appeared through the window, and she appeared by turning on her imagination. We were unlucky with the second examiner. Very unlucky, as I thought. The second examiner turned out to be problematic. Her name was Mitarashi Anko, and the second stage, according to her, is worse, and it's hard not to agree with this, because at least half of them will fly out there. And this is literally, because if at the first there was a theoretical, but the opportunity for all teams to pass, then half will remain here. The essence of the exam is to survive, or better to say, to outlive the opponent. The forest of death, filled with various dangerous creatures, and where we need to spend 5 days. The local flora and fauna is certainly dangerous, but it is not the main enemy. There are 2 types of scrolls, heaven and earth, and in the center there is a tower where you need to get to with 2 scrolls. Did you come with 1 or without? Failed. How to get the scroll? Take it away from the other team. Therefore, the main threat here are other teams that benefit from being stabbed in the back. You also need to understand one point: there is a strong variation in strength. If information extraction skills were important at the first stage, then combat skills are important here. Since there are those among us who have been genin for years, and may well be comparable to chunin in combat skills, problems. Moreover, there is no talk of a direct collision. Form an alliance with familiar teams? A good option, especially if both have the same scroll. But what if the right scrolls are not found? The chance of getting stabbed in the back increases. Although if one team has 2 scrolls of heaven and the other of earth, then you can always exchange, but it's not worth making such far-reaching plans. We need to focus on the present. For example, no one knows that we have a sky scroll, and about my real skills. Therefore, as a weak link, the scroll was entrusted to me. Only it wasn't necessary to find the target with the help of my sensory abilities. She found us herself. That I have never seen such a strong opponent before. Perhaps not the level of Madara, but when we met, he was already at the end of his life and did not have his former strength. But this one. Did some village send a jonin among the genins, and, apparently, the best? In a word, we have problems. To be very brief, since a powerful gust of wind prevented me from describing the situation differently. Go away. I shouted as hard as I could, so that they would surely hear. Konohamaru couldn't resist, and it's for the best. It's just necessary that he doesn't come back. This opponent is not our level. I ignored the anxious voices. I have the power of the 9-tailed demon fox, Uchiha Madara and Rikudo Sennin on my side. No matter how strong the opponent is, he won't be able to defeat me. Fearing for me, but still accepting my phrase, they still retreated, but the enemy did not pursue them, apparently interested in me. Get ready, Dust, there will be a battle now. I warned my friend, taking off the bandage. This move surprised the opponent. Oh, Naruto-kun, aren't you blind? The opponent, who knows me from somewhere, was surprised. There was a kind person who gave me his eyes. I did not specify who exactly this person is. And, somehow not politely, they know my name, but I don't. This person must be a shinobi of our village or at least know information about us, so I need to know more about him. I agree, it's not polite. He grinned, and said something that shocked me. My name is Orochimaru. Calmly, the opponent's tone did not fit with the pressure exerted, as did the skin removal. Now I'm definitely in trouble. And now, please step back, I need Sasuke-chan, not you. Of course, I found out who Orochimaru was. One of Konoha's most famous and dangerous shinobi, Nuke Nin. Normally, I wouldn't have dared to fight him, even with my strength, but his phrase brought me to my senses. I will not betray my comrades. I shouted, intercepting kunai and ready to fight. It won't be difficult for me to defeat you, but still waste time. He drawled thoughtfully, although he was sure he was just mocking. And maybe you want to learn something interesting from me? For example, who are your parents and why they hate you? He suggested, immediately making it clear. Probably hope that in a fit of anger, I will release a fox or something similar, becoming a threat to the village. Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, who abandoned me because of my blindness, and everyone hates not me, but the nine-tailed fox inside me. I replied with a smile, pleased that I was able to surprise the opponent. The fox is actually quite sociable. After which he activated Madara's eternal Manjikyu Sharingan in his eyes. Starting from a low bar is deadly. Where did you get those eyes? It was Orochimaru's turn to be shocked. He immediately forgot about my knowledge of the truth. Although it doesn't matter, the main thing is that you will be much better than Sasuke-chan, Naruto-kun. Orochimaru licked his lip, causing me to shiver. No thanks. I'll probably refuse. I answered, realizing that it would be impossible to leave here in one piece. The snake dodged all my attacks playfully, the dust trying to help, which used teleportation to the fullest, also did not really balance the chances that if I decided to use Rinnegan, maybe I could win, but I can't demonstrate it now. That's if at the right moment, when he's not expecting. But, in the meantime. Amaterasu, heck. Can he shed his skin? Like a snake. And he also took out a sword from his mouth. An abomination that I couldn't dodge the next attack in any way, and so, I fall into darkness. I hope I've kept him long enough. Damn, my whole body hurts. It looks like I fell not weakly after losing consciousness, but since I can think, it means I'm alive. It's already good. Stop. Where am I? An inspection of the sides showed that there is only darkness. Wait a minute, dust. On my shoulder. And where is he from here? Calm down, you're alive and relatively healthy. A familiar voice sounded behind him. Kurama. Yes, my first friend here. Am I in my subconscious? What happened? The last thing I remember is Orochimaru's sword piercing me, and then darkness. Maybe I can explain here. A new voice that belonged to the old man sounded. But what I saw. I've never seen him before. Wait a minute. Rinnegan? But it was only Madara who had it. While I was trying to digest what I saw, the dust left my shoulder and flew up to the stranger, sat on his hand, showing his trust. Before that, he had never demonstrated that he was talking about only one thing. The raven liked the one sitting in front of me. The wound was serious, this boy overdid it, but your body is not like people's. You can be considered a demigod, so it's much harder to kill you than you think. He smiled, and seeing how my shock was only getting worse, he decided to introduce himself anyway. My name, as you have already understood, is Otsutsuki Hagoromo, also known as the Sage of the Six Paths. You've heard about me from Kurama, very much. The only one Kurama remembered with warmth was Hagoromo. It was from him that I learned the truth about the creation of the shinobi world, and the real name of the god of the shinobi world. Only his words don't really clarify. As you already know, my children. They continue the fight that was started a long time ago. Their fight, the elder indulged in sad thoughts, but then returned to the original goal. One of the reincarnations of my eldest son, Indra, was Uchiha Madara, who transplanted the genes of Senju Hashirama to himself. This is what allowed him to awaken Rinnegan. But as long as the current reincarnation is alive, the next one should not awaken. It turns out that after Madara's death, the next one was supposed to be born. I voiced the obvious truth. Given the short time interval between these events, the current reincarnation must be a child. Usually yes. The sage nodded at my words, but his words alerted me. Only Madara didn't just prolong his life, he died and rose again, so Indra's reincarnation was born, but only after his death the whole essence was transferred to the current life. His words prompted a silent question from me. Indra's current life is Sasuke's Uchiha, the one you know so well. But who is Ashura then? This news came as a surprise, but then you need to understand who Sasuke's opponent will be. And this is quite an interesting moment, which gives me a certain hope. Instead of answering right away, the old man grinned. In the end, all the reincarnations of my sons ended in battles. But this time they have a chance to become a family. Yes, you are Ashura, Naruto. From this news, I fell on my back, under the barely audible laughter of Kurama, who heard everything, who did not show much surprise. Usually transplanted alien eyes do not take root in the best way, but they are native to you, because you are the reincarnation of Ashura. Have you ever thought about it? But I didn't really think about it, just decided to take it for granted. Initially, I should not have been in this place. But at the birth of the twins, my youngest son's strength was shared between the two of you. Stop. What I heard took my breath away. You mean, yes, initially the reincarnations of my sons were supposed to be Uchiha Sasuke and Namake's Naruko, but you, having received parts of both forces, you were able to combine them, and your current potential may well surpass mine. So, one part was more or less sorted out. It remains only to understand about the demigod. There is a huge power hidden in your current body, Naruto, and when it fully awakens, you will be able to match those who are called gods. In the meantime, you can be considered a demigod, only at this stage. But what's wrong with me now? What's wrong with my body in the real world? It doesn't matter how strong I am, if I still have to live up to this moment. Kusunagi's blow should have killed you, but your stamina allowed you to live a little longer, just long enough for me to help you. I'm not letting you lose the rest of your life right now. This made me happy. Thank you very much. Not so much for myself, but for Naruko and Sasuke. I just can't leave them. Nothing, you can be considered my son. Hagoromo smiled, holding out his hand. In order to survive, you need to receive medical care. Unfortunately I can't do that, only to maintain your condition. But you can handle it if you awaken some of your power. Unfortunately, I can't do it completely yet, only the power of Indra. For the rest, you need the chakra of all tailed ones. Accepting his answer, I held out my hand in response. The process was not painful, and it even seemed like only a moment had passed, but when I realized what was happening, I was able to see my reflection. Rinnegan. He's changed. Red, with a Tomio, and in the middle is my eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. As the first owner, you have the right to name it. He grinned, looking at my stupor. The answer didn't come immediately, but it came to my mind. Divine Rinnegan. If I need to strive for the status of God, then my eyes should be appropriate. But what can I do now? When you wake up, all the necessary knowledge will be in your head. He reassured me, and then added with a smile. Although you've already used two before. When you healed your raven. Hagoromo stroked the ashes. You unknowingly gave him some of your abilities. So that's where he got his power from. Everything that he can do, you can do. Well, the second is the news of the past. You've managed to scoop up some of your unawakened power. Thanks for everything, old man. I thanked him before returning to reality. He's probably the one who's done more for me than anyone. When I woke up, I was able to somehow get up and look at the one who was approaching me. It seems that while I was in that place, only a few minutes, if not seconds, passed in reality. The first thing I saw was Orochimaru approaching, who most likely wanted to take my eyes and his sword. Only now I pulled out the Kusanagi myself and looked at it with my new eyes, pleasantly appreciating the disbelief. Thank you, for the gift, I said, clutching the handle of the Kusanagi. And then using the right hand, throwing it away at a distance. My advice, go away, because without knowing it, you have awakened my power. He spoke with all seriousness, in fact, barely standing on his feet. He did not immediately answer, first getting up and examining me carefully, made a decision that, okay, Naruto-kun, but if you decide to leave the village, find me. With these words, he took out his scroll, Earth, and threw it to me. Consider it a gift for such interesting information, and only when I was convinced of his absence, I was able to breathe a sigh of relief, falling to my knees. It was a short, but intense fight, too intense and brought so much new, but I didn't sit around for a long time, and went to look for my own. I hid the Kusanagi, and decided not to tell the details yet. Just saying that the opponent decided to leave for his own reasons, but left an unnecessary scroll. As it turned out, we were the second team that finished the exam. In front of us were Sand Shinobi. But since we had to do something for the rest of the time, we decided to practice a little. Specifically, I hid mine with maximum effort. So 4 days flew by. Literally flew by. As busy with an interesting business, we did not notice what was happening around. When all the teams gathered, the fourth made a speech, which I listened to. But in short, a lot of genins have passed for the third stage, so another stage will be held, under the stage, so to speak. Individual fights. The opponents themselves are determined randomly. Sasuke came out first. Her opponent was from our village, and he knew how to suck out the chakra. But having a good taijutsu, she won. Inuzuka Kiba came out against his sister, who is not one opponent, but 1.5. But after all, Naruko is not alone. She, like me, owns the technique of shadow clones. And she also demonstrated the Rinnegans technique. Despite my attitude, during Konohamaru's fight, I was rooting for him. Still, he's my friend, even if he's a bit of an idiot. However, his opponent, Haruna Sakura, did not have a chance. I also got Yamanaka Ino, whose clan is known for its consciousness transfer technique. And judging by her expression, she has already counted herself as a winner. Naive. You can already give up, it won't be difficult for me to beat you. Her phrase made me smile. She doesn't know yet that I'm real, and I'm at the academy. They're two completely different personalities, in terms of strength. Then come on, like a real man, I give you the first move. He showed politeness, which caused a wave of laughter from the audience. Let them laugh, I'm not sorry. As expected, she tried to use a clan technique that I was well aware of. And Ino herself knew about it, so she looked with surprise at the approaching me. In my opinion, a certain respect even flashed in her eyes. After all, I keep my word. But there was also mockery there, because she thought that I was giving up in this way. Of course, the technique worked, and her mind was transferred. Kurama, at my request, did not drag her to him, but simply abandoned the attempt to capture the body. Only here I am much stronger in mind, body and soul. Ino, your clan technique is strong, but it won't work on me, I said confidently, throwing it away. Everyone was shocked by what they saw, but they didn't comment on anything, they just announced my victory. The fighting continued at the same pace, and after that, they announced to us that the final stage would be in a month, which we can spend as we want. A month of training. I'll give it my all, so, I have a month to train. Although I am more than confident that I can beat anyone on this exam, training should not be neglected. Hagoromo was only talking about potential. Now I'm still weak, therefore, you need to spend some time training the divine Rinnegan, because if Orochimaru returned to Konoha, serious problems may begin, but it's not worth focusing on them completely, because my opponents are potential Chunins, not the elite of their villages. Since I know everything about the capabilities of my eyes, I just need to hone them. And for this I chose hot springs, although it is quite a crowded place, but the local water will serve as a material for me. Only now I caught sight of a man with a big mane of white hair who was trying to spy on the women at the source. But this is not an ordinary pervert, because judging by his strength, he is not much inferior to Orochimaru. I nod to the ashes, and he understands me, rushes past the man at a fast speed and breaks the partition. The women were presented with a picture of a bent man who brazenly examines them. And the man himself seems both concerned and pleased. 3 people laughed over the picture of how the girls gave chase to a man, and he runs away and curses everyone for the fallen fence. Me, Kurama and dust. If this is who I think he is, then he is not so much a legendary Sannin, but rather a legendary pervert. Moreover, no one thought to look at me suspiciously, because anyone could see the blindfold, which spoke about my situation. He, by the way, managed to escape from the chase, and then return to the crime scene. Although not whole, several blows still flew to Tom, and as a result, in addition to fatigue, his clothes are torn in some places, as well as full of bruises. Honestly, I tried, but still couldn't resist and laughed out loud again, which gave me away. And Jiraiya, and it was him, pointed his finger at me. You did it. He shouted indignantly, not thinking that his voice could attract attention. What are you talking about? I tried unsuccessfully to make an innocent expression. How could I do anything? After all, I'm blind. In confirmation, he held the bandage, but apparently, he didn't really believe me. From the moment he drilled me with his eyes, he could not confirm his suspicions with anything. Therefore, it remained only to silently curse me. What's your name? What is it? He finally asked, wanting to know who had messed with him. Naruto Uzumaki, and you? He answered in the same innocent tone, as if he didn't recognize him. Jiraiya himself finally changed his displeased expression to one of anticipation. Behold, you have a great honor. Standing in a pose that he probably thought was cool, introduced himself. I am one of the 3 legendary Sannins from Mount Myaboku, Jiraiya. Oh. I exclaimed, admiringly. The legendary pervert from Mount Myaboku himself, Jiraiya, pretended to misunderstand his title, which made him angry. Don't call me that. He shouted indignantly, but immediately continued. And what are you doing here? It didn't work out to be sarcastic that he also came to peek, but I felt that this was exactly what he was going to say. I wanted to train, but here you are, having arranged your great run. Shrugged his shoulders, already about to proceed to the original goal, but the hand that was on my shoulder prevented. Do you want me to help you? The question was asked with full confidence that there would be no refusal. Well, perhaps I won't break it off. It even became interesting what he would offer. Why? I asked, because new techniques will never be superfluous. The technique of summoning. The white-haired man answered without hesitation, seemingly proud of this technique. If you sign it with my appeal, you will be able to achieve incredible results. I want to note that the 4th himself signed it with them. Sannin declared proudly, as if trying to sell it. Is there nothing else? I asked, because the technique itself was interesting, but summoning toads. I didn't really want to upset. It seems Jiraiya did not appreciate my answer. He told me that you can use a callback, and get to those animals to which I am most suitable. However, there is a risk here, because I will find myself in an unknown environment where I can die. But when have I ever been afraid to take risks? So, having folded the seals, I went to the world of summoning. Perhaps because I have kurama, I will be thrown to the foxes. The first assessment: it's terribly cold here. Second, it's unrealistically cold here. Third, I'm in the middle of the snow, and I have no idea where I am and how to find the call, and why am I so lucky? What do I have in common with this place? There is only snow around, so I had to go look for local inhabitants, making unsuccessful attempts to warm up. It took probably 10 minutes until I found myself in front of some kind of temple, which, oddly enough, was not very frozen. And what stood out was a huge statue of a dog with 3 heads. Like this is called Cerberus. There are 2 options. The first one was a local resident, whose life I have every chance to repeat. Secondly, the one who built this temple was a skilled sculptor, having made such a realistic work. The dog's heads were above the entrance, and paws on the sides, but as soon as I got closer, the statue came to life. I knew it. Who are you, and why did you come to the Temple of Knowledge? Does he also talk? It's getting more and more interesting. Naruto Uzumaki. I introduced myself. Jinchuriki of the 9-tailed demon fox, as well as a demigod. I was brought here by a callback. Only he didn't pay any attention to my words at all. Neither the phrase about the fox, nor about being a demigod. My name is Cerberus, keeper of the Temple of Knowledge. Cerberus' growling performance rang out. You have to prove that you are worthy to enter this land. So the test. Well, a good test of my new strength. At the same time I'll warm up. As soon as I made up my mind, the cold seemed to recede, not preventing me from fighting. And realizing what kind of attack the enemy would prepare, I responded with the opposite. The fire and ice attack collided, and were in balance. We did not yield and were not going to retreat, but the attacks were exhausted at the same time. But he did not hesitate and sent an attack into the sky, and ice began to fall on me in large sizes, but it was not difficult for me to move between them. I summon my new weapon, and conveniently take it in my right hand. Just an opportunity to try out the power of Kusanagi. As soon as he jumped on me, dodging, I hit one of the chins. The blow is quite painful, and while he was getting up, I quickly hit the same blows on the front paws. The same, in turn, tried to create an armor of ice for himself, but when I reached the height of his head, I began to strike continuously, with one goal, not to let him finish what he started. As soon as a sufficient area appears, I cover my fist with lightning, and strike with all my might. Is that enough? The guardian has fallen, so the test is passed. The head lifted and looked at me attentively, making me freeze. But this time there was no former challenge in him, but rather humility. You won fairly, and from now on you deserve to get into the Temple of Knowledge. Somehow getting up on his paws, he howled, as if calming the weather, showing me. Take me with you, you will need me in the future. With these words, he began to change his shape and turned into a weapon. As soon as this strange object was in my hands, the cold seized me again. It seems that in order not to become a new guardian statue, the first thing I need to do is find a way to keep warm. My teeth were tap-tapping while I was using fire-laced breath, but what kind of Temple of Knowledge is this anyway? And what will he give me? After all, I'm here for the summoning, or is this the summoning? Cerberus, over the past few days, I have finally managed to cope with this cold. I didn't think that this would become my worst enemy, which surpasses even Konohamaru's irritation. The Temple of Knowledge itself is much warmer when compared with the outside world, but this is only in comparison. And so it's just as cold here than it was anywhere before. Having found a stick, it turned out to make a torch that warmed me in this place. Given that there was no bed here, I had to sleep on the floor, creating bonfires. The bookshelves were safe, as if they were protected by a barrier. Perhaps there was a master of seals before me, who decided to protect this treasure in this way. When I say treasure, I really mean treasure. Literally, all the knowledge that was in the world is collected here. Just reading one part was already an unreal task. Kurama confirmed this. Hagoromo didn't seem to know about this place either, because according to Kurama, he never mentioned it. This place must be the same age as the world itself. But who built the Temple of Knowledge? And who fills it with new books all the time? I couldn't find out the answers. Among most of the books I found those with which I was already familiar. For example, subjects from the academy. But more than even clan secrets, I needed to find out another, primary task: how to cope with this cold. It was my cry of the soul, which describes my situation well. Even with my stamina, it's unbearable to endure the cold. But bonfires and torches are not eternal, and not universal. An adequate replacement is needed. Therefore, having created a dozen clones, we set about the necessary searches with maximum speed. Have you found one with a suitable description? Read it right away. Due to the fact that the clones transfer all knowledge to the original, that is, to me, the search has become somewhat easier. Although such an array of information made my head ache, dust also helped with the search. I managed to summon him even into the world of summoning, although at first I gave him a mental instruction to make it clear to Naruko and Sasuke that everything was fine with me. After doing this, he came to me, and together we continued the search. Thanks to his speed, it turned out to be much faster to study the shelves, but there were still too many of them. And with the name, which at least a little, but had with the topic I need, it's full, and so, on the fourth day, I finally got what I wanted. Probably even the awakening of the divine Rinnegan caused me less positive emotions. It turned out to attach fur to my clothes, which, with the help of special seals, does not let the cold out, and at the same time does not release heat. I wanted to celebrate this event with something grandiose, but only the creation of a giant bonfire came to mind. The first problem is solved, now the second. Next, to sort out the time of my stay here. The ashes came to me on the second day of my stay in the temple, and he himself said that I was absent for a day. So here time goes twice as fast. The next point is to get at least some way to keep track of time. After all, I have to spend 2 months here, would not like to be late for the exam. The plus of my being here is an extra month of training. It would be a grave mistake to refuse such an advantage, but, to my relief, it turned out to be quite simple to create a watch. The necessary book was called Watch with Your Own Hands. Given the possibilities of this place, I just need to bring my souvenirs. Next we have help with training. I need to find something that will help me improve my current arsenal. Nodding to himself, he began a new search. The necessary literature turned out to be more than enough. Which is surprising, considering what a world. It was just necessary to find it. It was not so lost in the general background. Another thing is that although it was suitable, from the theoretical side, the practical one is quite another matter. This study took about 12 days, after which I finally managed to systematize everything. Then it remained only to work out, but this did not cause problems. It was enough just to find a suitable place. When did it come to more large scale? Just went out on the street. I was no longer cold, which made this place great for training. There was still the issue of food, but dust helped with this, which could safely move between worlds. He brought as much as he could. It was only necessary to entrust this question to the girls. And those were not averse at all. It did not distract them from training. In addition to training, I was interested in one more question, which I decided to leave for later when the exam is over. After all, I can always come back here, but for now there is no need to be distracted, namely, history. What was the world like before Otsutsuki Hagoromo was born, as well as what happened after his death? To see the world of antiquity, because the pages are the personality of the author, the imprinted reality, but even if you entrust it to a clone, the extra information will be distracting. So it's much better to do it yourself after a little rest and a break. After all, it is not particularly useful to occupy the body with physical training. You need to give time to rest. Moreover, the study was also interesting for Kurama, so we decided that I would read everything aloud. And yet, who built this place? And why? I asked out loud, not hoping to hear an answer. Cerberus didn't talk, preferring to spend time as a weapon, but he didn't seem to know anything about it either. Just guarding the place. Perhaps somewhere on the pages of these books there is an answer to this question. And I will definitely find him, that's the end of it.